The topic is digital MRV. I'll introduce that, and the particular product is CERCS CharTrac. James Schoner is my partner, and this slide deck is already at my website, and you can find it there because I'm going over it very quickly in many ways. You want to come back and see some of the types of things. Also, at the end, we'll give you this sign up link again for further information. There are at least 3 audiences for us here. The producers, if you're actually doing hands-on char production, small scale, or as individuals or as organized projects, you are making char. Also, the developers of biochar projects, and they could put in they're interested in the MRV issues for their products and their projects. And the third group are the investors, because this product is basically becoming available for investments and other things to come into it to take it up to the next level on it. And there are also 3 levels of computer expertise. Most of us are just reasonable skills. A few of us are advanced skills. The expert computer scientists, they don't usually attend these webinars. James Schoner is on the list with us here. He is an expert computer scientist, and so I will try to make it an appropriate conversation for our group here. Our purpose: measurement, reporting, and verification. MRV is a standard practice, a required practice if we're doing with carbon credits. The usual one, there's baseline studies and assumptions, and it's averages and lots of things that tends to be expensive. There's some challenges to it. And if you're getting more and more data into it, it becomes sometimes difficult to actually utilize that data. Now, if we have the digital component, digital or DMRV, we have real-time data capture integrated into production operations. And we have encrypted and digitally signed data stored in immutable databases with hash digest stored in public blockchain records. Those are a lot of fancy words that come in, very important for us. This is what we are doing. Our focus is to give you the highest quality digital MRV for CDR, for carbon dioxide removal. We are CERCS, pronounced CERCS, and it comes from, it's not an acronym, but we are dealing with both emission reduction and carbon sequestration. CERCS CharTrac is our core app, our core application software. It is now deployed, and this data entry capture is with immutable tracking of char for the creation of from creation of the char to its disposal in order to create durable carbon dioxide removal, which then can be marketed as carbon credits, also known as NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Other CERCS apps are in development. We'll mention them some a little bit later. We have a pilot project on with biochar Pamoja in Bungoma, Kenya. And that was presented by me in February 22 webinar. And the references are provided there. Yes, we're CERCS. CERCS is a 50-50 joint venture between 2 longtime friends. I'm Paul Anderson. This is my 4th presentation to the Green Carbon webinar, and so I'm known to lots of you. And I'm very similar to many of you in interests and backgrounds and things. I develop stuff with biochar and pyrolysis. James Schoner, he handles, and I handle the business side of CERCS and the financial thing. James Schoner handles the product side. He is a senior software engineer and a full stack web app developer. And there's a number of things you can read into there, his tremendous background. But I point out that he worked with neural networks, which is the part of artificial intelligence, back in the 1990s, and he integrated it into a banking system which relates to credit cards and stuff. Very important type of work, big systems and things like that. So James is a super computer science specialist, and he's up to date. He has his continuing education in the past decade, and I'll say he probably one of the people who made the best use out of the COVID lockdowns, because he got into lots and lots of courses, and he's totally up to date. CERCS by CharTrac, the software, can be used for any biochar from any pyrolysis technology of any size. Requirements for using CERCS CharTrac. First, you need to produce biochar and check your sources, etc. You will must appropriately weigh and record your biochar. And this is your data. We do not alter your data. We cannot make it better than what you're producing, but we're able to provide the security for it. For each recorded quantity, all handling and treatment actions are recorded for tracking in later verifications. So this is not just the creation. We have to know what's happening to this char in transportation, aggregation of piles of it or different types of chars, additions of non-char material, ultimate disposal in the ground, so that this can be defendable for CDR credit. Consistency is the key within a project, but CharTrac is customizable for different projects. So any examples you see here, everything can be altered and adjusted for your particular situation. Standards are set by authorities. We comply and do better. CharTrac and CERCS does not set standards, but you must have measurement, reporting, and verification support if your CDR is going to become verifiable and getting credit. You must have it from some way or other. Everyone is checking to make sure that it's there. And I would like to point out that you can use more than one MRV program or system, and then we could compare the qualities of those. This would be an interesting research project to bring CERCS CharTrac into your project where you're already conducting an MRV study, and you can compare them. But what you cannot do is you cannot sell it more than once. Anything can be documented and verified 2 or 3 or multiple different ways, but you can only sell it once. And the ultimate judges of this will be the CDR credit purchasers, who will determine that what is valid or not valid. So this is the sort of the race that's on in order to do this. That was very introductory. I'm going to now get into more technical content, and it's still, though, an introductory overview on the fundamental computing aspects of it. A graphic here shows CERCS CharTrac, the grayed area of the box, multiple aspects of it. A complex system is the heart of the application ecosystem, or called an app ecosystem. And CharTrac is the workhorse. CharTrac can relate directly to other CERCS products in it, but it also is able through API to provide data connections with other apps. So it can be connected up with other software that you already are using, or that you might choose to use, a different registry, different sales, and things like that. So very modern in that regard. Operational facts. The owner must register the project, okay, and must authorize any users. This is that's your setup and how we would do it. That's the first step that comes by for being able to then utilize the CharTrac processes. Only the author's personalized, only the owner's personalized personnel can make entries into it. CharTrac's administrators and stuff do not intervene in the client on the client's behalf. We cannot alter your data. We do not filter it, sign it, or do anything else with it. We present it and keep it there for you. A vision of it here. This is from our project that is in Venezuela. The lady on the left, Lucimar, is using a fab stove, which is a TLUD stove that actually produces biochar. And she saves her biochar, small quantities, in a covered pot. and we can come by at a prearranged time, and we actually will take her char and we will put it in a container, usually a sack, and we will weigh it. And this now becomes the entry of her thing. And this would be the thing in the middle there is a approximate view of what you would have on a smartphone. Different phones look differently, other things like that. You'll notice that it identifies who she is. It gives her an ID number that we have into there. The biomass type is with a drop-down menu. You can select it and what she's using. In her case, she's using coconut shell pieces, etc., pellets, whatever. And then we're going to weigh it, and we're going to enter the weight, which is on the side. And on the right side there, you see 4.3 kilos. That includes the sack, but she's got about 4 kilos of char going into that. We take a picture, and then when everything is ready in there, so we have verified this with date, timestamp, GIS coordinates for where the picture is taken, all that material, you do the collect, and this piece of information is sent forward into the system for the company to utilize, okay? And there could be tens, hundreds, thousands of people operating, and each one, there is a collection for it. At a larger size here, we have the collection in Kenya with the biochar Pamoja. We start off with the identification of who is the worker, and in this case, it's Aaron and his char maker, and then his char gets put into barrels. We weigh it. You can't read the scale on that picture, but by enlargement of the image, you can definitely read and know what that is. This is confirmation of the data that gets entered in, and it has date, place, time stamps on it all over the place. So this is how we're able to do it. In Kenya, we are doing with dry biochar. If you make moisture into it, I'll talk about it a little bit later. There's some additional complications, but certainly you can do it. You just have to recognize that that it's wet. There's a dashboard that we have, and it plots and things. So I'm actually not going to go over this slide. I'm going to a video here, and this is a part off of a live. It's a recording of something. Notice the cursor just went up to the USA mark up on the top there, and it's coming in and out at the IBI Biochar Academy in Canandaigua, New York. We actually went in there and we took some data entries in here, and you'll see the pictures of myself and some other people that were there with it. Also for the Venezuela data with Daniel, there's Maria again and bringing it down into it. This is other work is stuff done in, you can go into further detail. We protect privacy. You can't go straight down into it. So here's a last little bit with USA. There's also a couple things with there's my good friend Gary Gilmore and some others on it. So thank you very much. That is it's just a demonstration of some of the things that can happen with the dashboard. Everything is customizable. It's made a display here for putting into a PowerPoint slide is a different story. I mean, anything can be modified for its own particular arrangements. The dashboard also has multiple data entry and data analysis stages on it. We're not going to dwell on them. You can imagine histograms and analyses and correlations, etc., along with it. And this is for the project in Biochar Pamoja Alpha from Kenya, but it's just an example. Some of the technical things which are interesting and important to us: you must have security in communications. A good quality MRV program will give you this security that is required. Encryption and digital signing are used together. All of this is already built into the CharTrac program. We are not saying, yo, we're going to be doing this. This is up and it is running into there. This is so that you can protect your data, and you can also authenticate the sender who is providing in the data. We keep track of all of that. These are both used in tandem for full compliance of standards of companies, federal types of things. Some of this actually comes from James's work with the software for the banking industry, which is extremely sensitive to authentication and reliability. So we want to make sure that these standards are met. CERCS CharTrac uses hash values with blockchain. A hash value, unique alphanumeric things. The example that's given there is there's 64 characters and with letters and things on it. That number gets changed. One little change in the data, once it has been put into the blockchain, will violate that number, and it is gone. You cannot claim its reliability all the way back to its original formation. That's why this is why blockchain is so tremendously expensive, so tremendously powerful and important for us. The once entered into the system, data are immutable. Any data that are incorrect can only be deleted or tagged with separate explanatory comments, which are also with hashtags on them. Now, about computational efficiency, blockchain consumes lots of energy and things and that. So James is extremely efficient in the usage in there. CERCS actually stores hash values, their data fingerprints, in the blockchain. It is the hash values of files which are set and stable. You cannot go back in and change it, but the encrypted data is stored in this program, ImmuDB. ImmuDB is a software product out there. Associated files are in the interplanetary file system. And CERCS can also mint non-fungible tokens or carbon credits, also putting them onto the blockchain. So the blockchain capabilities are already there and ready for whoever is going to be the clients with us. CERCS uses Algorand as the blockchain. It is a superior one. It is more energy efficient. It is known as the green blockchain. This is getting pretty technical and probably not something that we will go into here, but of interest. We are very interested in quality assurances, sampling, testing, scale calibration, et cetera, and also the determination of dry weight. And you keep data in your system so that you know, but you must end up with knowing what is the fixed carbon that you have in a quantity of biochar. And it changes. The fixed quantity is the same if you make it wet or if you mix it in with compost or manure or something. The carbon's the same. This is what we are tracking and keeping so that you can get your claim for the credits on that. An example just of spotting something on it. The scale on the right-hand side was incorrectly located. This can actually impact the scale readings and stuff. So this happened to come in from a picture that was taken, and we showing it as an example on it. Weight measurements and CDR credits. The dry weight of biochar times the percent fixed carbon times 3.66, then minus your deductions. That's the big number. That's what's important to you. Moisture content. When we do it and we have zero moisture on it very much. Sorry. We have to calculate it back to what is the dry weight. Biochar that receives moisture after weighing or before weighing, you need to make allowances for it, and you're always working with averages. So we like to think of doing it wet, but there's ways around it. And for this, we use the CERCS lab book. Okay, a lab book is a collection of provides a collection of standardized frameworks for reporting signed and certified lab results. This is something which we're working on. You are working with. You need to have your chars tested. Where do those reports go? Those reports get placed into the CharTrac system. They are referenced out there. These become things that are available for people to see. And the lab book is developed with open standards. We are a commercial product. It is, there's proprietary things. There's many things which we're not revealing, but at the same time, we are very much interested in wanting to have open standards, other products to be able to link in with us as it goes along. The integration features are called lambdas, okay? Configurable connectivity options, the API endpoints, the IoT, Internet of Things interfaces. This is your connectivity with your telephones and measurement devices that will put read in the data into it. File source data ingestion, data sharing, et cetera, et cetera. All right, a note there. To fully appreciate the software complexity of the CERCS app ecosystem, your software experts will need to be in touch with James Schoner, the CERCS software developer, okay? The CERCS ecosystem implements a wide range of capabilities with IoT, API library, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, on time-wise. The business status as of this month here, okay, we are launching CERCS CharTrac, limited basis, trial cases and things, and bringing people in. We're interested in talking with you about it. Please note that CERCS, James and I, we have no debts. We are organized for long-term operations. We're in it for the long haul. This is not something we have to, it's going to hurt us in there. Totally sustainable while we're small, yet it is ready for rapid scale up. I mean, rapid, multiple, exponential scale up as clients and funding become available. This is where when somebody wants this in their projects, then they have some funding that comes through. We're able to accommodate that because they're helping this is how the business will grow. The library of communications, it will develop, it's designed to include AI, artificial intelligence powered analyses, verbal commands. There's a number of them we didn't list out into there. And some of this is for the future, not they're implemented yet, but it's certainly with that in mind. And we at CERCS, we are anticipating union or association with businesses focused on standards, data handling, project management, research and development issues, carbon credit transactions, third-party verifiers, investors and for investments and for climate action. Any of those which are interested in this, we'd like to be in touch with you as to put it there. Now, we've listed out there at the website CERCS.io, CERCS.io. There's a sign-up page on that home screen. It's there already, okay? To get into it until we've changed it a little bit more, there is a password required. And that password is the same password that you needed in order to sign on to this Green Carbon webinar. I am not going to say it out loud on the video. I'm not going to write it on the screen, but you'll find it in there, and you can then put your name down in there, and can be in touch with you. Concluding into here, there are 3 ways to participate with CERCS CharTrac. As producers, such as many of you, use CERCS CharTrac in your CDR efforts and for your MRV into there. There will be this free sign up that I mentioned there. We'll have some trial experience coming in the second quarter for it's the thing that lets you look at it and see it, a little hands-on, etc. That's coming, not yet. And we will select a few initial small users screened, and they have the types of projects which would merit the time that goes along with it. a relatively small fee for keeping involved. Second group, developers to collaborate in joint efforts. And a lot of this would be development efforts in here. Build CharTrac into your MRV project budgets. I hope many of you are putting in applications for the Milky Wire, the CTF pre-purchase agreements for your biochar. And if you can put you're putting in your proposals. In your proposals, you work into the budget the use of CharTrac. You can have it certainly into there. Please reach out, talk to me about this. This is the business side of things. So you want to talk with me, and I will filter and take things through to James. Finally, investors, join the business. Okay, become a partner with CERCS. We are looking for skills and experiences on management, standards, software development, as well as funds for faster scale up and additional. This is some fairly substantial money that would be put into it. We don't know yet what is going to be the actual process as it goes along, but this is basically an invitation for players at that level to show their interest or express their interest to us. I mean, you all know the story about Puro Earth, and they had their project going, and they were actually majority interest taken over by the stock exchange company. And how can I? That's a senior moment. Sorry, I forgot it. So these types of things, we do not know where it's going to be, but we are open for smaller partners, bigger partners, whatever it would be. So you can sign up into there on that. And finally, into here, there's our contact information again, and what you might be wanting to, you can ask us some questions. Yes, just about on the time here. Sorry that it went very, very quickly. But now we can filter in some of the questions that you might have and some clarifications. And please, I want to reemphasize, if you are interested in using the CharTrac program in the future, now or whenever, do go to the sign up link that's at CERCS.io. Get your name in there and your email address. That way we will send to you further announcements of stuff that come in with it. And some of you will use it to make definite contact straight through to me for the business side of things. Okay. So I turn it back over to Christian. You want me to end screen or yes?
I think you can even leave it on.
Leave it on. Okay. All right.
Can see your email. So thanks, Paul, for your quick overview. I mean, of the CharTrac system or ecosystem. So if you have any questions, raise your hand, write into the chat, and we will discuss this. So the first question, I mean, James answered some of the questions in the chat already, but Marshall was asking, can your tech be used for purposes other than CERCS or carbon credits? We think this can be used to apply to the EU climate bond taxonomies. Do you have any thoughts on that? Or maybe Marshall has to explain what the EU climate bond taxonomy is.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was NASDAQ, but what? I'm sorry. Repeat the question, please.
Can your tech be used for purposes other than CERCS or carbon credits?
Certainly the other type of carbon credits, which are emission reductions, can be put into this. It has not been our focus. We are on the biochar side, but it is a standard a blockchain system. A part of it relates to what the investors want. If somebody says that they want this thing for a particular purpose, we would evaluate it, and it could become maybe there's even offshoots from it. Quality blockchain that is functional in the CDR markets of all types in there should come in. There's no reason why you couldn't use this with regard to some other type of of CDR other than biochar. I mean, so yes, the answer is yes, it can be, but we're not focused on that at this time.
And maybe from my side, so as I understand it correctly, your app will spit out a CDR amount of CO2 equivalent.
Okay, we measure biochar, by weight, by dry weight. We get it down into that for percentage of moisture, etc. And that char must be tested based on the testing, and then what is called stable carbon or fixed carbon. That percentage is multiplied in, and you multiply that by the factor to become how much carbon dioxide equivalent you are actually doing. So what is tracked is the physical biochar, which goes all the way through transportation, mixing with compost, everything else, and it goes into the soil someplace. And then that amount of fixed carbon is declared to have been sequestered as CO2 equivalent.
Okay, yeah, but your app is actually giving you this number if you fill out all the lab analysis, transportation requirements, and so on.
If you've got the data and things in for it, yes, and we will produce it all the way to creating the NFT, the non-fungible token. And when it comes to then selling it, or somebody wants to buy this block of carbon dioxide equivalent removal, where did it come from? You drill back through CharTrac down, and you will actually see that it came out of the, we probably aren't going to tell you it came out of the kitchen of Lucimar, but we will probably tell you that we're into this, or which country it's from, which area it's from, all this data. And when it comes to third-party verifiers, they will have full access, and they can go back down and they can go interview Lucimar and say, hey, you making biochar? Let's see your stove. This is how verification gets done. It must be done in the field, but when it's been done a few times, you don't need to keep sending people back there. You can double check all that. And that little video that I showed you, we'll see the actual popping up of the entries. It's going to be quite a dynamic screen when there's many people doing biochar and putting them into CharTrac.
Then there was a question by John. Please talk to the cost of measuring the fixed carbon lines of measurement of millions of measurements of a few kilogram each, like in your image in your presentation, 4 kilograms. Yeah, I think you read it well.
I don't see it. I haven't got the right. Please talk about the cost of measuring the fixed carbon ions. Okay. Things get aggregated together. Aggregation is one of the characteristics which CharTrac deals with, okay? And a cook who is using this in her stove, and she's using it maybe 2 or 3 cook batches a day, and at the end of a 4-week period, she's got almost 60 of these entries into there, and then they weigh her char collection. Char is collected and sampled like this in India in the program and the project with the Champion TLUD stove, and they are producing 80 tons of biochar per day from 100,000 different households, okay? So this is an operational system one place already. So it's in the computer world, these things get aggregated, they're brought together, and we can have confidence that it's happening.